Hey, so I have to say yes here at 2 o'clock in Germany, and you are early. I am the first one, but I think we can have it later on during your afternoon with a second session about limits. So therefore, this is called OneDrive Tips and Tricks. And you are seeing this stuff because I going to a conference on Monday here in Europe, going to Copenhagen, that's Denmark, and there are 1,800 people and have the same session there. So there's a good preparation. But anyway, you still see that. First, we have to thank you to all the sponsors. Such a thing is not easy to manage. I do it also here in Berlin. We have in-person event last year, and during this session this year next year we will have also an in-person event. It was a hybrid event. That's also complicated with 5 sessions parallel. And I know what the stuff. And without the sponsors, you don't have a chance to have this one. Now I switch my deck because I'm a green fantastic man, and all my slides are here in green. And yes, you also see the hashtag if you want to Twitter or something else. That's a hashtag you can work. So my name is Hans Brender. I'm working as a cloud productivity evangelist, as mentor, or whatever you want. And the people are also know me as Mr. OneDrive. That's my second time I was in this M365. So it was prepared a little bit earlier, and then I have to say, no, I cannot come because I was on vacation with a car, and there you have no chance with a car. If you are outside in the village, to have no good connection, it's not good the thing. Therefore, I have to say no. But now I have a good connection, therefore we want to start. So I am MVP and since 10 years, and you also see if you want to connect with me and give me some questions or something, or say it was good or was not good. My email, my blog, my Twitter account, my LinkedIn account, my Instagram account, and also here in Germany, we switch a little bit because of the Twitter things were going on in US to Mastodon. That's a German network, social media, as simple like say as Twitter, a mixture about of all of that. But you can connect me everywhere. I will answer if I can. Normally I'm doing a lot of workshops, and you see with all these stuff about OneDrive for business, OneDrive. So that's a cloud picture made with all the things that comes in on my webpage. You can also look for that. And then you see sync it's the most important stuff, because collaboration without sync, we will see, it's not so easy to put. My blog you see here, Mr. OneDrive's blog. There are 850 blog posts in German and in English, so you can read it. That's the thing. And also I speak a lot of different stuffs you see going on with this AMS Berlin. This was in the thing, but also have spoken together with Microsoft on the Microsoft Build online in US. I was there not in person because I was in Slovenia in another conference, and in the evening all my friends are going to the bar, and I have to manage a session with 2 other colleagues from Austria about the bot. Never able to see that. Then in Delhi, that means India or Cincinnati, US, Thrive Conference in Slovenia, AMS Pune, again, India. So Austria is also there. And the last one was M365 Chicago here in US again. So you see, it's so much. And that's our agenda for the next 50 minutes. So I talk a little bit about the OneDrive philosophy, why OneDrive is not like bot. Not like Box, not like Dropbox, anywhere. You see it, although that you can manage that. And you see a little bit of sync and architecture. If you are coming a little bit late, you see where we are. Now we're starting with the OneDrive philosophy and have a lot of slides with them. For that, the first one is OneDrive is simple. You have to navigate to Office 365. You have to sign in, click to OneDrive, click on the sync button, and yes, yes, no, yes, in that order, done. But it's too simple. That will not work. So you have to look at what is OneDrive in special, in deep. It's not a network drive. So you have to think to rethink to going directly to the cloud from your machine and coming back. So it depends on so many things. It could not so much speed as you are in a network in your company or in your communication wherever you are. It's not a shared drive. Yes, it's almost the thing. It's not a simple storage location in the cloud. People always think that's like box, that's like other storages we have. No, there is a little thing behind that we have to look for that and making for you the difference that we have to see what's going on there. And it's not as just as far as a network drive. So you have to know a network drive is very speedy, and therefore you have to say, no, it's not there. Again, it's like a network drive, you have to look for that. And it's not suitable for all data types. For example, if you have a long file and it would be changed very often, quicker than the synchronization could be done. We do not talk about all this stuff. Normally, many things, only the difference will be synced, but sometimes it's not so good to have a PST file, for example, or a database you have on your machine and want to sync. Other people are working on that, and that's not a good thing. You have to look for different. Therefore, it's not suitable for all data types. It's not like, as I mentioned before, like Dropbox, Box, or any other cloud storage. OneDrive provides offline capability, not only in Windows. So if you have a Windows machine or you have a device from Apple, like a Macintosh, then you see it's different. If you are in an area where you not have a good communication, that means, yes, we have it in Germany too. The US have it also, not only in the big cities, that's a little bit better, but it provides offline capability, not only in Windows. So you could say, okay, without anything, you have it with you. And it will sync later on if you are working in the internet without internet, with the files you have on your machine, they will change later on if you have internet again. So therefore, that's a fantastic thing that we have. It contains metadata, like history. So if you're working with Office files, you see, if you have to say, okay, I storage them personally, you press the button Control and S means save. You don't have to do that anymore. But if you are having save your commands, your program, your data in OneDrive or OneDrive for Business, then they will say, okay, you don't do that, they sync it automatically if you have changed it. You can forget that, this command. So therefore, they have data. We can go back. That is a fantastic thing if you are writing too much. Oh, we have to, so that's not so good. Have think here and have that there. You can have an older version. You can compare it and can see, oh, I want to do it. This is now my current version and disregard the newer ones. So that's a possibility we have with Office files, not with all files, but with Office files like Word, PowerPoint, or Excel. OneDrive, on the other hand, is a brand. If you speak with Microsoft people, they always talk to you, and if they're talking open, with OneDrive. They do not say it's OneDrive for Business or OneDrive Personal, because it's a different. In OneDrive Personal, you do not have a SharePoint behind the scene. So therefore, it's a brand, and Microsoft always talk about OneDrive. The first question I have to do, OneDrive Personal or OneDrive for Business? So that's a different. And OneDrive is also not only a brand, and it does not contain metadata. Yes, it do that, but it's also sync technology. The sync technology from different devices, different operating systems to the cloud. So therefore, it's possible to make a picture with your iPhone or Android, sync it to the cloud in your OneDrive or OneDrive for Business, and going back and sync it to your Windows or Apple device, and you have it on both. So therefore, you have it. If you have more than one device, it syncs also there. And as I mentioned before, OneDrive for Business and or OneDrive Personal. Companies do not like OneDrive Personal. Administrators do not like OneDrive Personal. Why? Because that's a backdoor. You cannot control that. Therefore, I should say, if you have to work with OneDrive for Business, that's a better way, but you should not be able to do it on a machine for the company with OneDrive Personal. Anyway, the complete thing, OneDrive it's a basis for collaboration. Without that, you could not collaborate. Therefore, it should be done more and more. That's a philosophy. The second one is tip number 2 is architecture and syncing. First, we have to look. OneDrive is a OneDrive exe. It runs in a user context. Now we can have it also on a different station, but normally it's, and you see that here, is users, you hear username, app data, local, Microsoft OneDrive. There the machine is there, one OneDrive exe. But you can have more versions of OneDrive exe. It runs in the user context or in the machine context. It depends on the configuration, and 113 different languages. And if you have one engine, but several instances of the engine, it points to a SharePoint, it points to a different SharePoint, whatever you want to have with the document libraries to think about that. And you can have selective sync. You can say, I do not want to that. That's okay. And it's also a possibility that is enterprise ready. That means, yes, there are about 40 group policies that will handle your business stuff. So I can either do with the group policies what I want, and they are special. That comes with each new version, with the self-update. As an administrator, you do not have to handle this stuff. It could be automatically. You do not see that normally once a week in the insider ring. We have 3 rings. Oh, I'll actually have to say 4 rings. That's Microsoft internal. Then the second ring is insider ring, comes each week normally. Second device is a productivity ring. And if you are in different companies and have different locations, sometimes the people have to say, okay, we want a deferred ring or enterprise ring. So therefore, it comes with different versions, but they're connected all together. If they implement something, Microsoft implement something on the cloud, they have to be wait until the deferred ring is with this ring to sync it automatically. So therefore, they manage that stuff. It's self-update. You do not have to do anything. This week was not with a new insider version. Why? Microsoft is not handling out a new version if they have a bank holiday, and they have a bank holiday yesterday or on Thursday. Therefore, they have to say no insider version this week, but that is okay. So now we have to look about synchronization. If you have a SharePoint on premises, means server 2007, 10, 13, or 16, you have to have the old sync client called Groove. If you have a newer SharePoint, let's say 2019, or SharePoint Online, you can handle that with the next generation sync client. That's we talk about OneDrive. With Office 365 in all document libraries, all the document libraries from SharePoint, with content types and all the stuff that will handle that. And also document libraries that are protected with IRM, RMS, remote management services, information right management services, or newer ones we call about sensitive labels. So you can protect them together that these files are not open in other environments if you are not allowed that. That's the thing we have to say. That's an architecture and thinking. And we want to talk aloud a little bit about issues and critical numbers. If you know that, that's a number. That's a very interesting number. And I think, 1 of 10 errors moods about this number. And there are more numbers here, and these are in the restriction and limitations in OneDrive and SharePoint. So in the evening, we will have it. That's a session we will have in your time zone 11:40. And in my time zone, it's in the evening, and we talk about these restrictions. Therefore, I do make only one example out of this slide deck and give them some information. So we have some restrictions, we have some limitations, and we have some troubleshoots. So the second session of me, 11:40, will come about this. We take one outside. That means how many OneDrive accounts you will have. Sometimes you have to say, okay, I can connect to my OneDrive for business with the company, but otherwise another company will have you all the way there. Then you can a second one, and you see 2 blue icons and 3 blue icons and 4, 5, 6, 9 is the 11. 9 is the up. That's the OneDrive accounts, and 1, 9 plus 1, 1 is a personal account. Because they are limited, OneDrive personal is limited to 1, but you can have up to 9 of the other accounts. The second one is how number of items to sync or copy. And I mentioned before, it's an easy part for you. It's limited about 300,000 files. So people have to say, hey, it's very interesting. We have a little bit problem about that. That means it connects to the cloud. That's okay. But I do not see the changes my neighbors or my company co-workers are doing. So that means sometimes you have too many files. Therefore, you have to do and look a little bit about, do you need these files all together, or do you need only a part of that? Then you can take it with add to OneDrive as an answer. Reduce the files, otherwise your machine is not able to handle this amount of files. That's the difference. So therefore you have to look, and that's not a fixed number, but their number will come, and it's although here you see what happened. Later on, okay, you will see that. And only think what you need. That's a troubleshooting tips. You should not do all together. You only think what you need. But if you need more, 11:40, 12:40, your time zone, I will come with restrictions. And you see that later on. So we see these 300,000 files here, although, and number, you have some in a document library, up to 30 million documents on a SharePoint Online. But with more than 100,000 files, they are decreasing, the performance decreased. That's not so good. Although the numbers we can have now file lengths, and this 300,000 number is more important, not about these big files with 250 gigabyte each file length. No. Many pictures, many something that's more important. Therefore, the people say, hey, I have only 60 gigs, but it depends how many files are there. So although you have not showed about map drives or authenticated proxies later on, but I do not want to talk about this one. I want to talk about how can we manage the stuff. If you are working in a company with 5 devices, that's easy. I can look for them. But if you have a 500 or 5,000, you have no chance to look on each device. Therefore, we have to handle a little bit. And there is a group policy there where you can see that. And this group policy mentioned that. That's the first thing that we can handle that. That's a computer configuration. If you install it via group policy, and it depends how do we deploy it? I will show you. And then you will have the possibility in the Alps admin center and see proactively as an admin, hey, you're Mr. have a problem on your device. The first thing is we have to implement the group policy. And that means there are different possibilities via Intune, via Endpoint Management, via System Center, via whatever program you have to connect to the PCs in your companies and implement a string for the database we have there, and then that will happen. You also can do that with the Endpoint Configuration Manager. There are possibilities. I prefer Intune, because although Intune is possible to handle your local devices, your iPhones and your Android phones. So first we have some things. We should do that point by point, means for the salespeople, yes, the first thing we will roll it out, and the other one like finance department or marketing department with the second one and a sales step. So that we'll have, and then that reports all stuff what you are doing, not what you are doing, but if you have a file there that has an error in it or something else, you got the information. So down you see here, 38% of devices have sync errors, but you also see the known folder there, not only the sync folders, I have to go back, and you also see how many devices have the current version. It is easy if you only have 8 devices, you see there. But if you have 2,000 devices, you can proactively monitor that. That means if you are looking here, you see that's the devices, and the first one is the people who are working on that. That means that's the email address. The second one is the user's email address and device name. So you see there is a lot of Surface devices. Today I present on a Surface with a very new Surface with number 9. That's a new one since 2 weeks. And you see all of the error, healthy. Oh, here I have an error. You see, sometimes you have known folders. Known folders are, by definition, are the folders desktop, and although the folders like documents and pictures, and they are moved internally into your OneDrive. And so therefore, that this is a part, it's internal, and you see that, therefore they call it known folders. And you see none or all or documents and pictures only. You can have it in different. Then you have the app version. We are working on that. That's a OneDrive app version. That's an old one, but anyway. And you see the operating version with Windows 10, and you see the last sync and the last status report. So as an admin or delegated, you can have and see your company, what's green and what's not green. And therefore, you can have all these status in there. And if you put on a stuff, you also see a detailed information. So I have put it here, and you see that's the user. We are working on that. That's this device name. You see the operating system. We also see here especially, and we see the error. This item contains characters that aren't allowed. So it's an easy part normally, and Microsoft is working on this invalid and change it automatically. But this is possible that we have that. And here are the commands. You have to rename that. But you find this information and let's think, hey, Mr., you are having a problem on your device. The people do not know that. The normal users do not know that. Therefore, it's very interesting to see that. So now that's a newer picture. There you see several items with problems, and we see all that. But that means you see what we can do. We can also filter here the stuff. We have a custom filter in Mac for Mac devices and can switch off that and say, okay, now we have a custom filters, and we see all these stuff with these filters. And you see the errors although here. When it was synced, you can put a lot of things on information and help the people, because the people has to manage sales, or the people has to manage in her department that have to do with the stuff, but do not know what errors are there. Therefore, you could help. The admins could now help the people before they want to connect you. So that's proactive. So we can look for that. And on the other way, I have a live demo that's also for you interesting, that you see what's happened now. You see here is a problem, but we cannot expect this. And you see that's in German version. But anyway, it works. First, you have to see how many devices we have here. And you see that has been changed. Now we have some Windows 11 devices, and we see with these known folders, that's same thing. And you see if you are plotting, that's all good here. That is very interesting, but if you want to have it, you can split off that, as I have mentioned, and see all the information. Here in Germany, on the interface, it depends on the machine, what's going on, if you have installed it here in your environment in German or in your local language, then the error messages will also point to the language folder. Therefore, it's not a thing. And you see all of the problems. If you have any problems, we do not have the problems. The filter mechanism, and I have described about that, are with synchronized errors or what they are doing on there. Therefore, it's very interesting. That's okay. In the old days, we have to implement that stuff with a special version, and this version called TAC, tenant association key. That was an old group policy, and nowadays we don't need that anymore. We only need a group policy, and you have to wait a little bit, but you implement that, then will work automatically, but only if you are not on the deferred channel. The deferred channel is now blocked out, and it's still in preview. Therefore, you have to look. It's not so easy to say that will work about that. Looking again, not here, but forget that. Expiring. So sometimes expiring external address, and we have to look about the number. We have still a little bit time and look what's going on. Expiring external access. You know, Sharing is always an information you want to do that. And do you see the 4 sharing features? Anyone with the link, that's an anonymous, are people inside the company Contoso, that's a Microsoft company, people with existing access inside, and also specific people. That means only these persons can handle that. With this anyone, it's an impersonal link. That means each person who got the link can send it to another person and has access. So sometimes the companies say no anyone with the link. I do not say it's okay, because we can do it in a different way. Normally it expires, but the people do not know when it expiring. At the first definition in Office 365 was only 90 days. Then a big company comes to Microsoft and says, we want more, we need more time. So they expanded to 720. And I asked them, why 720? Oh, 2 years was the answer. No. 365.42 means 730. Oh, we have to change that. Now you have 730. So that means that the expiration date is here set. And I say, normally, as an administrator, you can connect to them. That means an administrator can say, let's say I want to have it here 40 days. 40 days is interesting because each user can say a little bit less. You should always close the link after this expiration date. And if I know I have talked to my friend about the file and I said I give it to you for, let's say, to correct the error, then it's okay. And you say 5 days. If you are connecting to everything outside and you do not know about vacation time, about illness or something, you have to do a little bit more, but not 730 days. Each open link is possible that you can connect other things. So therefore, you should reduce it to a different one. Maybe in your company, it's only 120 days. It's okay. But you, as a user, can decrease that. You cannot increase this number of days. The people can do that. And also it's possible, okay, let me look here. It's also possible, no. Sorry. You can have the set password. So that's a funky thing because it's a password has nothing to do with a password. But if I share a document or an Excel sheet or whatever, I can send it and set a password additional. That means, okay, I have to say I send it to anyone with the link, but the password, I can call him or a landline. I have to say, okay, this is the password for these files or for this folder. And then he has to implement all of the password. And otherwise, sometimes you have to say, if you do not want to allow editing, you can say, okay, if this marker is outside, then you can have to handle block download. So the people can only look online what's in there, only in view mode, only in his browser. He cannot download this stuff. So therefore, I want to see. But that's not always handy. Yeah, you can not handy. That's very interesting. Therefore, we have a new one with these links. That means a link that works for anyone who has it. Right here, it's a transferable, revocable secret key. And that means it can forward to others. Its secrets means the access who has this key can be revoked anytime. You can do that. Yeah? And its secret means users need to link to gain access. Without the link, you don't have access to these files or folders or wherever in SharePoint Online or in OneDrive for Business, because OneDrive for Business is part of SharePoint Online. And we see that also here. You see this guy on the left creates this key and then he goes to the next one and he forwarded it to this guy internally and then to this guy who was externally, and this guy give it to them. This 4 people have access to this document from this guy. So therefore, it's an easy part. But it's although if you are working on project and you see that it's not an easy part, and therefore we want to have it with external access. That's not on the website. You have to do a complete site to make this available, expiring external access. It requires external users to lose access to site context. The complete site. Site admins can vote for external access and extend their expiration up to IT policy. What does it mean? It means you can open the stuff and have to say, okay, we have to reinitiate this process again. And the dates are different from their one I have spoken the last 5 minutes. So seeing here, Elvia will have that and have access from outside and explanation. And that's the time after 90 days. So now you can access all the people on this site for 90 days. Perfect. That is working. After a serious amount of time, Tim de Boer will come. And this guy also have 90 days. So he has access for 90 days. Has nothing to do with Elvia. Tim has, although from this date, 90 days. You should not do it with short days because of the mechanism we want to now to implement. So after 90 days, we see, are you sure you want to extend access to this site for Elvia? At this time, after 90 days, we have to do it. I have to press yes, extend. And then she has another 90 days. Tim has no access anymore. And that means that is possible for external access to a different site. That is okay. So that looks like here. These people will lose access soon, manage access. And you see that although if you have OneDrive and you see that inside your OneDrive, these are 2 expiring days, the next 21 days. I'm an administrator, therefore I can do that. Manage, press the manage button. And if I have a manage button, you see that's are the 2 dates we have to do. And do not append it to less, because the problem about that is, yes, the people, you have vacation, you have a problem, you are illness or whatever. Therefore, you should have an additional time. Therefore, you should do that here. Extend it. Yes, I want to do that. And then I give Sabrina here the possibility, yes, extend it or cancel this kind of stuff. Here you see the second one where you have to the dates, not with 30 days. We have to do it a little bit more, a higher number in there, and therefore it will come. That was expiring external access, but there are so much things we have to look for that. And the difference is, how can we do that? It's so big possibilities, and Microsoft has to done a lot of things. First, for example, you now see that that's the OneDrive settings. And you see, hey, it's in white, yes, but I have enough other parts that we see that will change it. Also, this is come when you click on the blue icon in your notification area. Right settings, you see all the settings, that's 6 pages, and we see that it's a little bit different. And here are the new ones that will come. So it looks like a Windows 11 part. You still have your stuff here. We can point it back. You see backup. That's the thing we still have in the old days. And now we have it also. We've managed with these 3 known folders we have. And I have to say, yes, there will come more known folders, even for you. So although if you are to say, people sometimes have to say, I have to start OneDrive when I sign into Windows. And people often say, no, I want to connect it now. I have to work there and I want to put it on. It depends. It depends of the area. If I have too much trouble, if I have too much files, I implement and have to say, yes, you should do it always and start. Because each environment, and if you have a lot of files, will take up a while to put this drive on. And if you are not signed in, and if you decide, yes, I want to do it, it could be a little bit time. You have to give him the chance, the sync engine, that they transfer all the information. So there are some other possibilities like advanced settings where you can handle more and more parts. And sometimes you could not change it because it's in a gray area. That means the group policy, I have control about that. I can say all the people syncing when data is on a metered network, it's off, you cannot change it. Therefore, that's a possibility you always have as an administrator. Therefore, I have to look which part device, which is the location of them, where it's outside, do you have the good internet connection, and so on, and give them the possibility. So here you see filled files on demand. They will change it although in a little bit future, and we want to do it in a different ways. Download all files now, or download files as you use them. So, but it's a preview. It's not ready for all this stuff. You can also limit some download rates and limit upload rates as you have done it before in the old days. But it's a little bit better and it's a new feeling. Sometimes I have changed it, although I have changed it here. You see, in this desktop, I have a problem with the version link. And so they will work on that. That's an old picture. And I have called to Microsoft and they say, okay, we will do that. That is all the possible for the future that we have the version link. But here, it's the thing that I have in this OneDrive version link. That's a number. And that means you see here, there is a space in front of that. And the name of a file should not be with the first character as a space. That's a typical error, and but that will change it automatically in the future. They work on that. You see what's happened. I only have off, but if you trace it and you see you want to have these known folders, there will be some possibilities, how big the areas are there, and so on. And also on the account, you see the choose folders and the stuff that is the same as we have in the past. You can inlink. We have still the problems that we have to unlink the PC if we want to delete some stuff outside and do not need any folders anymore for this person. Otherwise, you have a problem. To unlink is no longer possible. Which one? Stop think is the first thing, and unlink is only the last one if you put the complete OneDrive sync link out of this environment. So the notification is also very interesting. Sometimes the people say, oh, notify. I want to be notified when this and this would happen. Notify when syncing is paused, notify when. You can implement that. What are you doing? And sometimes you see when a large number of files are deleted in the cloud, that could be, but this setting is available due to organizator's policy, because that means, yeah, to the policy, you could not change it. That's the part of the admins. Or notify before many files has been deleted on my PC. People do not know very often, the user. Sorry, guys, the user that do not have, if you press the delete button, it will delete not only in your machine, it will delete also always on the environment in the cloud. And if you have shared the files, it would delete also on this person. So that's not so easy to understand. And you have also a recycle bin. The recycle bin means, yes, if you press the delete for a file, it won't be deleted automatically in your recycle bin. It would go to the cloud if it was in OneDrive and want to say, okay, I have a second recycle bin. That means for this number of days, in the recycle bin of the server in SharePoint Online, 90 days. So you never should do that from your machine because it's only the last version. And as I mentioned before, sometimes if it's Office files have version in it, on your Windows machine and your Mac machine, you still always have the latest version, the newest version, but not the old version. And if you have deleted in your environment in your recycle bin, it only have the version, the last version. And if you come back and say, I want to have it, he answers you, hey, it comes out of the cloud. Please rename it because it's still in the cloud and you can rename it there. In the cloud's recycle bin, all the versions are included. That's the difference. And you see also the About button that you have to see, the OneDrive's ID. Sometimes it's very interesting to see this OneDrive PC. And you remember with these show all the errors, then we take out this number and we know exactly on which machine it is. Therefore, they need that from them. And you also see here the possibility OneDrive Insider program. It's on. I cannot change it because this administrator has said, okay, you are always on an insider preview. It makes no sense, but that's a group policy. The group policy have higher rates for that. You also see the number of the OneDrive version, but you don't see it anymore. One other thing I have looked for that. That means in Office you have the possibility to change if you have any conflict with Office. Keep in mind, if you do an Office, you can directly from Word, from Excel, and from PowerPoint to SharePoint Online without save it in the cloud. So the thing is, you can do that, and then it will sync back to your machine. That's a different one. And there are two different protocols. And therefore, Microsoft has says we want to cut out this protocol. Therefore, we do not have the site here in this preview, not anymore. Office could not be changed into these things with a new name or the old name and should handle it automatically. They will in future should always handle it automatically. But that will come. That's the future that we have. So some other things I have to notify is about some errors you also see. If a department in a city, in a location and have problems, and then you have to see why does it has problems. Sometimes all the people have problems from this device, not from this device, from this location. And have to look, what is the different? So here you see the URLs and IP address ranges. And I go a little bit upside. You have to see that's Exchange Online. And you go back and see, okay, here SharePoint Online and OneDrive for Business. So there are optimize required, optimize or required. Sometimes it's optional. And you see if it's required, you should have opened the ports TCP 44380. So sometimes it's all people from a different location. You have to ask the IT manager of this location, do you have changed, for example, a firewall? Do you have blocked these addresses or something else? That could be the number. And you see all the stuff here that's required, that's Windows DMS. And also if they do not get any new updates, that this one is also required. We see that at the position we want to look for that. And that's a VNS. That means for pulling versus pushing. Pull is to collect all the data, is from the device. Pushing is from outside, it's very quicker. That means it's an easy part. Therefore, you have to open traffic to VNS windows.com. Or the second one is automatic updates will come to the one client SFX, and it means TCP 44380, as I mentioned before. So that's a different ones for the tools that has to be implemented. On the other things, there are automatic updates. And if you got automatic updates, you also have to look which version. As I mentioned before, I here have as a group policy that I always got the Windows update. Sometimes you have as an administrator to look what's happened here in this. What is going on? Do I have it? Sometimes people connect me and have to say, hey, is there a possibility to check that? Yes, it's a little bit different. So you see on my side, that means version in the block. You can get it. You got the possibility for these slides too. You don't have to mention that, but that means that's the latest one. So you see here from 18.11, the latest insider version, and the insider version comes with 5 versions for Windows 32-bit, 64-bit for ARM. And on the other side, I have for Macintosh, that means for Mac, there are 2 different ones, the Intel code for the older ones. And if you have a brand new M1 processor, then it comes with silicon code. So there are 5 different versions. And then you see this is a number 227232. 227 is a version production, comes with the insider version 1 week before. But before this week, they put all these stuff, Microsoft, into the production ring. So that will be rolled out. And then you see from September, So that's a deferred ring. 196, and that will come up to the 23rd of January 2023. This version will come. So if you do not want to have to change too often because of, yes, one part, why is it too often? Too often means it's a 140 megabytes in Windows. All the data will be changed, and therefore they have to say, no, we do not have a good internet connection, therefore we put them to the deferred ring. And then everything. Yeah, that's the old one, that's the different versions we have, all these ones. If you need a version, you can go to the site, you can download it, and then you can check it. You have to install it manually, and sometimes if you go to later on, you have to download it and put it without internet connection in it to see what's happened, because you have to check about this port. Otherwise it will come, hey, I want to update it automatically. Therefore, for checking older versions, you have to look for that. Anyway, recommendations. We have some parts for the last 40 minutes, for 4 minutes, not 40 minutes, 5 minutes. You always have to look for articles and my blog posts in German and in English language. But on the other way, you also have to look for the blog post from the MNES community. That means from Microsoft by himself. And you see that's only once a blog, at least in the month. So therefore, you see all stuff that will come in the near future. These announcements for file experience are not there. They will roll out now, but it's not in each tenant that you receive all these stuff. On the other hand, it's very interesting what they are doing. There is a site that called here Roadmap. And you can hear in this roadmap and think with the stuff, each person can do that and have to say, okay, I have a product. The product is OneDrive. And it's showing 14 updates. And you see they are going till March 2023. One-time admin reports, you have seen that. Bulk data export, who has a problem, why they have a problem, to manage the data inside the IT, therefore they want to have a bulk data export. So you see all this stuff that is coming or is done, but keep in mind that the data are not always correct. They are pronouncing that they would handle it if they are ready and have it programmed, it has it tested. Sometimes they tested it and there's too much errors in there, and therefore it could up to 1 year. In Outlook, there was with the signature, it takes 1 year now, the simple stuff that they had handled it. Therefore, keep in mind, this data is not always correct, even if it's from Microsoft. Therefore, we have to look for that. So as Steve Jobs always says, one more thing and present a new iPhone. I have to say 2 more things we have to present. And I've built with 2 other MVPs here in Europe, not in my country, that's in another country, Austria, that's below, near our country. So there are 2 MVPs. One is the developer MVP in Office 365, and the other one is an AI, artificial intelligence, and we built a community bot for OneDrive. So that means, yes, it takes a while. They want to digitize me in person. That's not possible. No, they want to digitize my knowledge about OneDrive, and we built this. And the good thing is it runs in Teams. So you have to look in Teams if you run it, and look inside in the app stores. There are 1140, I think, 1140 different machines, programs, apps, whatever you want to have in there. And if you are looking for community bot for OneDrive, you can install it. It doesn't need anything because it's a chat bot. You give him a question, he is answering, but he only knows things about OneDrive. Yes, if you are asking about Fornox, you always get an answer because Fornox is a security feature, but therefore try it and they're saying. The video is coming there from the Build 2020, so you can also look what is going on before you go to your admins and say, I want to have it. Because in Teams, some admin says, no way, we do not install it. But if they know it and looking for the video and see all the stuff, then it's a good thing, because the admins can see, okay, they can test it, then give it free to the people using it Teams. So it looks like that. There are two languages, in German and in English. So you can have it in English and give them a question, and the question will be answered with pictures, without pictures, only to my bot or my blog post and to Microsoft Learn. No longer the docs. The docs are now in Learn. Therefore, you see that. And it's running in Teams. If you do not can handle that, there is also a possibility. We have built it in a web chat, and you see also with Bitly OneDrive bot, you also have the possibility to run in a separate, as you want to discuss it, the possibility. But if you close your browser, still the same answer, still the same question. And if you close the browser, it's gone. In Teams, I can also have the possibility as a user and have to say, here it stands. And then I can call it to my administrator and you have a look on that with the same number, or look on my thing, and then they have an answer, and then they can look what is going on. Release a web chat version, no installation, call in the browser, that's the web version. And you also see that I have made some OneDrive tips. That's a newer one. I do it once a month or something. And you see about move from one to the other one. Or the fly out menu you have in Windows 11. That's also a new one. Or files on demand, that's an old one. But people do not know the differences between local available, always available, and cloud available. 10 minutes each in this area, and you see that what are done, and you can pull it back and forward. It's inside of the YouTube feeds. If you want to have the pictures, now you want to have the slides, you now have to pull on your device and make a picture of that. And for all people you have not, that means that's Bitly. It's always the same. And OneDrive, and the date of today, 2020, 11, that's November, and 26, that's the date of today. But I have two slides deck, therefore at the end, 11:40 for you, you have the possibility also to have it. Therefore, it's here -1 and the other one -2. But anyway, that's the slides I have for you. And I have to say very, very much thank you. Thank you for attending this session. And I hope you have some information. If not, give me some noise. Write to Twitter or write to LinkedIn, give me the questions, and you see what's happened. And I have to say thank you, and perhaps we see it in your session about the day, if you eat something and you have the possibilities about limitations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hans. And on behalf of the community, I want to say thank you, and thank you again for share your knowledge. I have a question for you, but maybe it's a personal question. My question is related with football.
Football, okay.
What result do you expect for tomorrow?
I expect they'll lose. So thinking about the people have sometimes that's football. They are allowed to play good football, but I think to compare it with Brazil, they are saying, "Hey, we want to do it," and they're fighting against all the stuff, and we playing around like yesterday's England game. So it is not so. That was it was not so good for England. Anyway, that's the point of that. Maybe they correct me, but if I have to bet, I have to say at least 0-0 or 1-1, and we are out. So therefore.
Okay, wherever. Thank you so much, my friend. And have a very good evening in Copenhagen. Thank you.
Yep. And we see you again at 11:40.